Shalom, I'm David Benkoff, the Broadway Maven. The Broadway Maven is a vibrant educational community. Every month, members may attend 5 to 15 classes and other expert-led Broadway experiences, all for just $18. Here's Juilliard Professor Edward Barnes at a recent class.
So I'm going to talk about a scene from Pacific Overtures. It's called Please Hello. And I've chosen this scene because it's not just one pastiche in it, but there are 5 pastiches in it in particular. So what I'm going to do is show you musically how the pastiche is derived, what the style elements are, and how Sondheim uses them in his version of it. And then I'm going to show you how he weaves all 5 of these together at the end of the scene in one big score. And you should be seeing a slide that says 1854, Commodore Perry signs a treaty with Japan. So in Pacific Overtures, if you don't know the show, and it's fine, I can explain this without it, towards the end of the first act, almost at the end, there is a scene in a treaty house where this particular treaty is signed. And it's critical to notice this was with the United States. And what Sondheim does is write a song for it from 3 different perspectives that show the Japanese perspective on this treaty. And it's called Someone in a Tree. And this is very important to understand the scene I'm going to show you at, which takes place near the top of the second act. In 1858, 4 years later after the first treaty was signed, there was a flurry of Western treaties in Japan. There were 5 of them, starting with the United States on July 29th, then the Netherlands on August 8th, Russia August 9th, Britain August 26th, and France on October 9th. All of these in the show are given a rap in one song in these signings. And in order for us to be clear about who they are and what's going on, Sondheim creates an individual musical style that represents the national character of each of these countries. And in doing that, he has created pastiche. Each one of them is in the style of a sort of well-known stylistic element of that country. So I'm going to show you how that works. We're going to start, and we're going to go character by character. After you get the first 2, I'll kind of move quickly. But I want to explain how he's doing this. The first one we're going to look at is the American Admiral, as it's referred to in the score. This character is very confident. He's pushy and cheerful, blustery friendliness, eager to present treaties and assert rights, has an overt sense of superiority masked as goodwill. So Sondheim has to think of what sort of style that would represent an American like this would work. So So what he's chosen is a style like John Philip Sousa's Washington Post March. So what I want to show you is what are the musical elements of that style and what does Sondheim do with them to create a new song in this style. So this particular march is a brassy military march. It's written in a meter of 6/8, which means there are 6/8 notes to every measure of music, but it has a very strong 1-2 rhythm. So it's 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. It uses almost ad nauseum what's called chromatic leading tones in a melody. Da, da, da. Those are all chromatic leading tones, and it makes a melody out of them. It also uses what is called, in harmony, the tonic and the dominant. The tonic would be the center of the key we were in. So in this case, it's in F major, and the dominant is the 5 chord. So it's bum ba da ba dum ba dum bum bum ba da, and it just goes back and forth through the song. So what Sondheim does is take those style qualities and now create a song that represents the American Admiral with these same qualities. So it's very clear to us. Listen to what he does.
letter, if so, Commodore very, very sad. Emperor like I letter, if so, Commodore very, very merry. President Fillmore still more glad. Last time we visit too short. This time we visit for slow. Last time we come with warships. Now with more ships. Say hello. This time request you support. Port for commercial intention. Harbor with ample dimension.
But you can't.
Only one little port for a freighter.
But you can't.
Just for fun, be a sport.
Maybe later.
But we bring many recent invention. Kerosene and cement and a grain elevator. A machine you can rent called a train.
Maybe later.
Also cannon to shoot. Big loud salute like so. Say hello.
Okay, so you get how that works. So what he does is take those elements that I just described in the Sousa Washington postmark and create a new melody with it. So it is in a very strong 6/8-1-2. Dum da dum da 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 dum da 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 dum da dum da dum 1-2-1-2. He uses leading tone chromatics. If you look over at the bracket, those are leading tone chromatics, and the whole thing is a tonic dominant alternation. Back and forth and back and forth. So he uses the exact same stylistic choices to create this very thing to represent the American admiral. Let's look at the British admiral. Victorian imperial bureaucrat, fussy, precise, wordy, feels culturally superior, formal, and obsessed with order. So Sondheim is thinking, what kind of musical style would represent this? It's kind of obvious, but let's have a listen.
I am the very model of a modern major general. I've information, vegetable, animal, and mineral. I know the kings of England and decode the fights historical, from Marathon to Waterloo in order categorical. I am very well acquainted too with matters mathematical. I understand equations both the simple and quadratical. About polynomial theorem I am teeming with a lot of news. With many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. Many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. Many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. Many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. I am very good at...
Okay, so I think most people know that. The style qualities are what you have to pick out. So you have to be kind of analytical with your hearing. It is a very, very, very strict, very crisp cut time. Cut time is when you write it as if there are 4 beats, but you only count it as if there are 2. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Then there are alternating notes for the words. Back and forth, alternating notes. Same tonic to dominant. Tonic to dominant, to tonic to dominant. And what's really cool is that he repeats the final phrase. So after the major has sung the whole thing, the chorus comes back in, repeating the tail end of what he's just sung, as if to emphasize whatever it is. So, again, this is what Sondheim is chosen to do for the British Admiral. Let's see how he employs it in this scene.
Hello, I come with letters from Her Majesty Victoria, who learning how you're trading now sing Hallelujah Gloria, and sent me to convey to you her positive euphoria, as well as little gifts from Britain's various emporia.
The man has come with letters from Her Majesty Victoria, as well as little...
There's the repeat.
Tea?
For drink.
I see. I thank you.
I think her letters do contain a few proposals to your emperor, which if of
1,
course he won't
2,
endorse or put
1,
her in a temple,
2.
or more happily should he agree would serve to keep her placid, or at least till I am followed by a permanent ambassador.
To repeat.
A treaty port and from the court of permanent ambassador. A treaty port and from the court of permanent ambassador and more.
Her Majesty considers the arrangements to be tentative.
So again, he takes those stylistic elements and creates this amazing song. So it's in cut time in Sondheim, which is which he writes in 2/4. Instead of writing it in half note beats, he writes quarter note beats, but it still gets 2 beats. And he has alternating notes for the words, just like modern major general. Da da da, da 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 da, all the way through, alternating notes for the words, and tonic and dominant back and forth. Da 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 da, sorry, da 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 da. I couldn't play it. Tonic, dominant, back and forth. And then when it gets through, one of the Japanese characters repeats the whole final phrase, just like they do in modern major general. So the result is it sounds incredibly British of that time. The Dutch admiral is transactional, opportunistic, sly with a winking tone, and a sneaky profiteer. Okay, so he writes a clog dance. This is a traditional clog dance that's been arranged for orchestra. It is in waltz time, which means now there are 3 beats to the measure instead of 2. So far, we've only had 2. Has very sweeping melodical gestures. So, ja-dum, ba-dum, bum, boyum, ba-dum, dum. It gets that lift every single time. Again, tonic, dominant, back and forth and back and forth. And of course, there are wooden shoe sounds in it because they're dancing in wooden shoes. So, let's see what Steve does with the Dutch admiral.
Hold everything, we're gonna bring chocolate. Wouldn't you like to lease a beautiful little piece of chocolate? Listen, that's not to mention wonderful, pay attention, windmills, hot tulips. How couldn't you like a wooden shoe? There can you read good, we will need 2 parts. One of them not too rocky, how about Nagasaki? 2 parts. One of them for the cocoa, what do you call it? Yokohama, yeah, Nagasaki, yeah, sign here.
Very, very clear. It's in waltz time. Chalk, chalk, 2, 3, let 2, 3. Wouldn't you like to dum da dum da dum da dum? It's all in 3. Has wooden shoe rhythms with da 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 dum da dum da 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 dum da dum dum. It's written into the melody, the wooden shoe rhythms, and again it goes back and forth between the tonic and the dominant. When he gets to windmills, he does the big sweeps. Windmills and tulips, the big sweep. So it's all right there. Same style, but a really beautiful choice. The Russian admiral is bombastic, sentimental, vaguely threatening, emotionally grand, and he shifts from being wooing to warning. He's a blunt force approach to diplomacy. Listen to this.
Много песен слыхал я в родной стороне, не провалость и горе мне пели. Эй, дубинушка огнем, эй, зеленая, сама пойдет, поёрнем, поёрнем.
So the qualities that are that, it's now in a slow time. It's in a slow duple meter, so that's 2, but slow. Very, very dramatic. Big, wide melodic leaps, especially at the end. Very big ones. And again, tonic, dominant, but this time we're in a minor key, but it's the same principle of tonic and dominant harmonies. Let's see what Steve does.
Hello. Is bringing Tsar's request, braving snow with letter to protest. Since we know you're trading with the West, you might at least don't touch the coat. Start looking east or closer west. Well, for the north, I'll be the 4th. I feel depressed. Don't touch the coat. Fair is fair. You wish perhaps to vote. What we care, you're liking what we wrote. Sitting there is the finest fleet afloat. boat. Don't touch the coat. Just sign the note.
So again, you're in a slow duple time. He even writes in the score the Italian marking for it. Meno mosso, molto rubato. Rubato is a lot of give and take with the tempo. You're going to go back and forth, slow down, speed up, that kind of thing. Big, wide melodic leaps. Big, big jumps. And again, the tonic to dominant thing back and forth. One last one. Listen to this. Everybody knows that one. So for the French admiral, who is flirtatious, theatrical, fashion-obsessed, who presents himself as if he's in a cabaret show, he's more interested in pressing and seducing than in actually negotiating. The qualities of this, it's really, really fast, too. It's very light and bubbly with flair, and again, it goes back and forth between the tonic and dominant over and over and over again. So this is the element that Sondheim takes to create his French admiral.
I bring word from Napoleon's the third. He had heard whatever occurred here from the little bird. Undeterred we conferred, so we felt that we'd been slurred, and his verdict was he spurred me here to bring the word. Would you like to know the word from Napoleon's the third? It's détente, oui détente, that's the only thing we want. Just détente, oh détente, no agreement could be more fair. Signing pacts, passing acts, there's no time to make the warfare when you're always busy making busy mutual détente.
So what he does, fast two with the can-can. There's an emphasis on the two. Jump, all the time. Tonic and dominant, back and forth. In this case, he starts with the dominant and goes to the tonic. So it's that kind of thing, back and forth. Very, very clear. Now, we've got 5 of these. How do you put this thing together? 5 different songs, all in one scene. They go in the order that I played them in. So it's American, British, Dutch, Russian, French. What he does very cleverly is weave the Japanese voice in between each one. So the Japanese characters, he uses the music from someone in a tree. So what happens is, after the first solo, there is a conversation, very brief, between the Japanese characters and the American admiral. And the Japanese are using someone in a tree's music. That's how it stays clear in our mind. That's the Japanese element. That happens between every one of these songs. But it's Sondheim, so that's not possibly enough. What happens is a slow build-up. So in the first little conversation after the American, it's just between the American and the Japanese. In the second, after the British, the American is still there. So now the conversation is between the Japanese, the Americans, and the British. After the third one, the Dutch, everybody is still there. So it's now between the Dutch, the Americans, the British, and the Dutch. Russians, same thing. After the French, he's now got to do all of them at the exact same time. Here is directly from the score, and you can see how he has laid these in. These are all these songs, these pastiche songs, piled on top of it, on top of each other, all being sung at the exact same time. So you have someone in a tree and all these pastiche nationalistic kind of songs. The way he does it is use 2 techniques. One is through the time signatures themselves. All of these time signatures can be played as 2. So 2 is the common denominator. If it's in 4/4, you count the half notes. If it's in 2/4, the quarter notes. If it's in 3/4, you make each downbeat over 2 bars 2. If it's in cut time, half notes, 6/8, the dotted quarter, and so forth. You just line them up that way. The second way he does it is that whole trick of tonic dominant. He doesn't in any of these songs get too harmonically complex, because if he did, it would be impossible to weave them all together at the end. So if you're only using the tonic and the dominant, and you're going back and forth in all the songs in different keys and different meters and different styles, when it comes to putting them all together, harmonically, they fit. So it's all pre-planned all along, all pre-planned. Excuse me. So I want to play you, I can't play, the whole scene's like 10 minutes long, but I want to play you the very end where you're going to hear a little bit of Someone in a Tree by the Japanese guy set to the French can-can. In other words, it's at the end of the French Admiral's bit. Someone in a Tree is played on top of the French can-can, and they slowly come in on top of each other until they're all singing at the exact same time.
It is late and I fear, well you see, there's a famine. Could you wait for a year? We'll agree to examine it.
All day long, that's the only thing we want. Just a
When please say Lord, don't forget that time.
The moment, please, I think that Jesus showed us 70 for
Please allow no secrets on the west. United States, let's get ready. Now that's the coat! Ooh! All day talks, that's what everybody wants. You should want all day talks, makes a nation like a brother. We'll be here every year to protect us from each other and to see you are exciting foreign treaties and they come. Please hello, we must go, but our intercourse will grow. New day talks, as they talk, brings complete cooperation. By the way, every say we are loyal intonation and with heavy cannon, wish you unaffected, please hello.
Unbelievably brilliant scene musically. And I should point out that there is pastiche in the lyrics as well, but it's much, much more difficult to explain. And they're singing in a kind of English that is more representative of Japanese speaking English, so it's even more complicated to explain. But there's pastiche going on all the way through that. The brilliant thing to me is not just creating the pastiche songs, but weaving them all together so that there's a build-up, and you as an audience get this sense of all these Western forces coming at the Japanese, grabbing, wanting things, and you get it musically, you get it lyrically, and you get it through the whole thing. So that's what I have.
Thank you, Edward. That was terrific. And
Thank you.
It wasn't just pastiche, it was quintuple pastiche.
Truly, truly.
In all the ways that Sondheim was able to put together. Do you think John Weidman played a role in designing that song, or probably not?
Not musically, no, I would not think. Okay. I think it's in the show, I don't know if this is 100% true, but largely what he tried to do is create musical fabrics that wove together Japanese elements with sort of Broadway elements at the same time. This scene is not that. In other words, the pastiches are Western styles, and even though it's the portrayal of it on stage is from the point of view of the Japanese, the styles are purely Western. So it's kind of unique that way.
Are we expected to hear Someone in a Tree, or is it supposed to be Sly? And
well, the thing is, I think you would hear it, because if you were in the show, at the end of the first act, you would hear Someone in a Tree, which is a very extensive song, and you hear those melodies a lot. Intermission, you come back and you hear this. And so when the reciter and the different Japanese characters are in that scene start singing it, and I did not play you the in-between scenes, it is pretty clear that is what they're doing. And even if you didn't hear it, I think that you as an audience member would think it was something familiar about it.
don't forget to like and subscribe. Shalom, I'm David Benkoff, the Broadway Maven. The Broadway Maven is a vibrant educational community. Every month, members may attend 5 to 15 classes and other expert-led Broadway experiences, all for just $18. There's a membership link in the description. And here's a video I think you'll like.